fellow small business supporters, it's Savvy. Welcome back to Savvy Writes Books. Today I have another writing and publishing style video for you guys. Today I'm going to take some elements of my work as an author, some elements of my work in the freelance world, and then some elements of my work now working for a publisher for a small press company to bring you today's video, which is 5 tips for editing a novel.
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago.
You guys asked for it.
Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome to my channel for the first time. I'm Savvy, this is Savvy Writes Books, and on this channel we talk about books, writing, and my life as a small business owner. For those of you who don't know, I run a small business called Forever Home Friends, producing books, plushies, toys, merch, and other items based on real rescue dogs and their journeys to getting adopted. 10% of our profits benefit animal shelters in the Chicago area. You can check it out linked in the description below. In addition to that, I have recently started working for a small press publishing company called Muse Media. I will link to Muse Media's website in the description below, as well as leave all of the social media for that company because we are currently open to submissions. This new small press has recently released its first book, which is this one called Confessions of a Teenage Band Geek, which I edited. So when I go into my 5 tips for editing a novel, I'm going to be using this book kind of as a guide for what I did to kind of talk about that. I will link this book in the description below as well. I highly recommend you check it out because it is so good. I'm a little biased, but it's so good. Before I get too deep into the tips, I wanted to let you guys know I'm doing a couple giveaways on this channel right now. You know that the giveaways that are in progress right now that I have announced already is that I'm giving away my annotated copy of Rachel Hollis's book, Didn't See That Coming. I'm giving away my annotated copy of 2 of the MLM Pyramid Scheme Network marketing books that I reviewed on this channel. One being Eric Worre's Go Pro, and one being Ray Higdon's Freakishly Effective Social Media for Network Marketing. I've annotated all 3 of those books. I mean, I hated all of them, so it's all just my snarky comments in the margins and things like that. I'm going to be drawing the winner for all 3 of those books on Friday, so just in case you need to remember how to enter those contests, to enter the contest to win Rachel Hollis's book, Didn't See That Coming, go onto my video that I made. I'll link it up in the cards. My video about how the multi-level marketing world is now mad at Rachel Hollis for that book. Go to that video and leave a comment that says, I want to win this book. Leave a comment that says that, and then I'm going to be drawing from those comments. And then if you want to win Eric Worre or Ray Higdon's network marketing training books with my annotations about how wrong they are in them, then what you need to do is sign up for my author mailing list, which is also linked in the description below. I have both my mailing list for myself as an author and for my business Forever Home Friends. Again, during this Friday's video, I'm going to be drawing from the new people who signed up for those mailing lists. Be on the lookout if you are the winner, that I will leave you a comment. But along with that is coming another giveaway. Confessions of a Teenage Band Geek, y'all. So as I mentioned, this is a book that I edited, and I edited it for a new small press called Muse Media. Muse Media is actually primarily has been a magazine publisher for the past 13 years. The new book small press element, you know, I came on as the project manager and one of the editors as we moved into the book publishing world, and this is the first book we put out. Right now, the books division of Muse Media is working on building up its social media presence, so we decided to run a giveaway, which I am opening up to everyone who's watching this video. If you would like to be entered to win a free ebook copy, you know, it'll work for Kindle, Nook, your smartphone, whatever reading app you have or anything, a free ebook copy of this book, Confessions of a Teenage Band Geek. If you are interested in winning, what you need to do is check out the description below. I have the social media handles for Muse Media there. I have the Facebook page, the Instagram page, and the Twitter page. Follow all 3 of those, along with following, like the post, because we will have a post on all 3 of those social media platforms announcing the contest. Look at that post, like that post, and then from all of those likes and follows, next Monday, so a week from today, next Monday, I will be drawing a winner for this ebook. If you want to know what the book's about, drum set player Julia McCoy is not a typical marching band member. Moving Moving across the country and becoming a rookie as she starts her junior year, Julia must deal with an intense instructor and the potential of love in her own section. After somewhat accidentally joining a rock band, her loyalties will be tested in a semester full of difficult decisions, from a dramatic band camp to a memorable first marching competition and an unforgettable homecoming. Julia's first semester at Willow Creek High School is one that readers won't soon forget. Enjoy her adventures now and prepare for more to come as Julia's season continues in future installments. So if you're a former marching band kid especially, this book is nostalgic as hell and I love it. Go ahead and follow and like the post for all of that, and then I will draw a winner next Monday. Good luck, hope you win. Now on to 5 tips for editing a novel. Tip number 1 is to know the purpose and the audience of your project. Let me explain. I have edited a lot of different types of things in my time. I first started editing things around April of 2016, I believe, so it's been 4.5 years now. And when I first started editing as a freelancer, I got a lot of different types of projects. Primarily now with this regular job that I have working for this small press, I do edit novels, but I also edit other types of things. I still do work as a freelance editor, and sometimes I end up editing a children's book, or sometimes I end up editing a finance blog. This one financial advisor company has had me edit their blog for the past 4 years, so I regularly edit that type of thing. So knowing about the purpose and audience of the project is going to be a huge difference, because when I edit a blog post for a financial audience, I'm going to edit it in a different way than how I edit a novel that I'm looking at, and it's going to determine where do we draw the line of like, this is hard grammatically correct or hard grammatically incorrect. Where do we draw the line of what types of punctuation wants to be used? It all depends on the purpose and audience of the project. And even if in this video we're going to focus specifically on novels, even different types of novels are going to need different types of editing. Is your novel primarily for children? Is it primarily for teenagers, primarily for adults? What genre is the novel in? What type of audience do you think is going to be reading it? Those are the most important things you're going to want to keep in mind, especially when it comes to how you edit dialogue, how you edit things that characters casually say to one another. And in the next couple points, I am going to go a little more in depth into some examples of what I mean by that. Suggestion 2 for editing a novel is to know which step of the editing process you're in. When a lot of us think of editing, we think of proofreading, we think of checking for grammar and punctuation and spelling and that kind of thing. But that might not always be the stage that requires that type of editing. A lot of times as an author, you might want to hire a developmental editor, might want to hire a proofreader, a line editor, a different person for each step of the process, or you might want to hire someone to do all 3. When I look at developmental editing, I look at that as editing in terms of what major plot holes are in this book, what things don't make sense, what are some things the author might want to change. I did developmental edits for this book, for Confessions of a Teenage Band Geek. When I was reviewing the draft of this book, I looked through it and said, okay, you know, this character interaction here doesn't make a ton of sense to me, maybe we can change that, or this line of dialogue here I'm not totally clear on. It was a lot of going back and forth and talking with the author. Her name's Courtney, she's awesome, I've had her on this channel by the way, link up in the cards. It was a lot of going back and forth and talking through those processes. During this stage, I didn't even look at the spelling, I didn't even look at where punctuation was, I didn't even look at if there were typos, because when you're in the developmental editing stage, chances are the author is going to go back and change some more things. They're going to go and make some of their own revisions, maybe add some things, maybe take some things out, and it would be a real waste of time to correct all the punctuation in a couple sentences if those sentences are going to end up being cut and new sentences are going to be put in their place. So knowing which stage of the process you're at is super important. Now, if you're going into freelance editing, you might want to specialize in offering only one type of editing. You might say, I offer proofreading services and proofreading services alone. I am going to look over your thing for punctuation and grammar and spelling, and whether or not it makes sense is on you. And that is totally fine as long as you're upfront with the person that you're working with about it. My third tip for editing a novel is to develop a style guide. So a style guide is something that you as the editor and the publisher of the book and the author, again, in the self-publishing industry, maybe the author will also be the publisher, or maybe you are editing your own book, you know what I'm saying? Regardless of whether somebody holds multiple roles in this situation, the editor, the author, and the publisher will want to have a consistent style guide that they're working with. Generally, I look at the Chicago Manual of Style just kind of as a default, and then you don't have to adhere to it 100% as long as things are consistent, which I'm going to go into a little more in the next point, but you want to know what you're defaulting to. So for example, if you have a list of items, are you going to use a serial comma? Are you going to say this thing, comma, and this thing, or are you not going to put a comma before the word and? It has to be consistent, so you'll want to have a style guide that says that. When you're using quotation marks, are you going to use 2 quotes on the side, on the end of each piece of dialogue, and then if there's dialogue within the dialogue, like maybe a character is relaying a story to someone else, then we'll use single quotations within that? That's how I do it, but either way, you're going to want to have a style guide that everyone can fall back on. Again, that's more for like a proofreading and line editing stage. If you're doing developmental edits, you might not be caring as much about that, but again, that's why you need to know which stage you're in and make sure you're focused on that. My 4th tip is going to be the one that I delve into the most because this is the thing that has helped me the most with editing, and tip number 4 actually has 4 parts to it. When I was in graduate school for my writing and publishing master's degree at DePaul, I took a copy editing class, and in that class, we talked about the 4 C's. So the 4 C's are clarity, conciseness, correctness, and consistency. And when you think of those 4 C's, if you're copy editing, so if you're in the copy editing stage, not like developmental edits, if you are doing edits line by line, you're doing edits, you know, and looking for that punctuation and grammar and all of that. When you are in the copy editing stage, you need to be focused on those 4 C's, and anything that falls outside of that, you probably don't need to worry about. So again, clarity, conciseness, correctness, and consistency. The first one, clarity, is super important. If you're reading something over and the sentence you're reading just doesn't make sense, then you're like, okay, maybe I want to edit this sentence because the meaning is not clear or the meaning is ambiguous, or I can pick up what it means in context, but a reader might be confused. Then you say, okay, this does not have good clarity. Let me fix that real quick. Conciseness is another thing. If there's sentences that are repeating themselves over and over again throughout it, that's when you know you might want to trim out some words, cut some things down. Correctness, I mean, there are some things that are going to be grammatically correct objectively and some things that are going to be incorrect objectively. However, correctness is kind of in context of consistency, because above all else, the book has to be consistent. So if, for example, you want to italicize the names of movies versus underline the names of movies, they both could technically be correct depending on which style you use or which style guide or which editing manual you're going by, but you want it to be consistent throughout the book. You don't want a character to reference a movie or book and have that title italicized in one sentence and then have it underlined in another sentence. That would just be weird to look at as the reader. So in the end, what's correct kind of depends on what's consistent, if that makes sense. So I would say just keep those 4 C's in mind. And I know that as an editor, you don't want to infringe too much on the author's creative freedom and the author's autonomy to make their own decisions about what's going to happen in the book. So that's why I like to keep those 4 C's in mind when I'm at that point. I'm like, if this thing that I'm reading right here does not fall under those, if we're at the copy editing stage, like I do for the finance blog, if we're at the copy editing stage, if the sentence is clear, concise, correct, and the way that it's written is consistent with the style of everything else, then that's probably a sign that I can leave it alone and that I don't need to do anything to it. As editors, I think a lot of times we have this inclination that we want to change things because we don't want the author to get their manuscript back and be like, well, you didn't fix anything. But we also don't want them to get it back and be like, you changed everything. Is this even my work anymore? So you have to strike that balance. And I think focusing on those 4 C's, particularly in the copy editing stage, is really going to help with knowing where your territory is in the editing realm. And my 5th tip for editing a novel is to keep consistent communication with the author. When I was editing Confessions of a Teenage Band Geek, I had regular meetings with Courtney, the author, on Zoom. She and I actually live in different countries and we have vastly different time zones, but we would set up Zoom calls in that little window when the time zone made sense for us both to be awake and on a Zoom call. We had Zoom calls regularly. We talked through the edits. We reviewed the manuscript over after each stage of editing. when I gave her developmental edits, we went over them in a call. I talked through them in detail, both as for the whole book and then chapter by chapter. She revised the manuscript, returned it to me. So I started on line edits. I went over what I did with her when we did copy editing. We went over it and talked through each thing in each stage, because that's how we were also able to determine what was going to be consistent in this book. For example, in this book, there's a lot of times that a scene will change within a chapter. So for example, like we're in the same chapter, but we're changing scenes here. So we would put a little line between the paragraphs here. So that was something we had to decide. When the scene changes within a chapter, do we want to add a line break between the paragraphs? Well, I mean, whether or not that's correct is kind of up in the air. It's kind of up to you, but we decided to do that and to keep it consistent throughout. So that was something that we discussed along the way, for example. So keeping consistent communication with the author of the book, if you are the editor, is going to be crucial, especially if you're going through an entire novel process. Overall, I'm very proud of the editing work that I did on this book, and I'm very proud of Courtney, the author, for writing such a fun and heartwarming story. Again, I highly recommend this book if you want to get it as a Christmas gift or a holiday gift for any holiday, for a band geek in your life, someone you know who likes marching band. The paperbacks are available through Amazon Prime, so you can check that out, linked in the description below. They ship and get to you pretty quickly, and I just love this book, but I'm biased again. But if you would like to win an ebook, don't forget to enter the contest by following Muse Media on all 3 of those social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and liking the post about the contest, and I will draw from those people who have liked the post and who have also followed. I will be drawing that next Monday. Again, I will be drawing the winners for my anti-MLM book review type of things. I will be drawing the winners for those books to get annotated copies this Friday, so stay tuned. This Friday, I'm also going to be having a live stream with Dan, the developer of the Rescue Pets mobile game, because Wrigley, a character from My Small Business Forever Home Friends, is going to be added into that game, so we are going to be doing a live stream to celebrate that launch and to play that game. I hope you guys enjoy. I will see you again on Wednesday for the author sleepover live stream at 9 p.m. Central, and then on Friday for some more fun. But in the meantime, guys, don't forget to support small businesses and have a fantastic Monday.
Hit you some nuts.
There was lots of memes.
Makes me wonder if I should take up lesbianism.
Chicago.
You guys asked for it.